Dragon Ball Daima episode 12 was called True Strength for a lot of reasons. We saw the true power of Tamagami 2 and Tamagami 1 and the true power of Majin Buu, but we also saw the true strength of Vegeta as he has finally tapped into Super Saiyan 3. I want to break down this entire episode for you guys on this video, but first, get some Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta merch. Here's the details. Finally, Vegeta has achieved Super Saiyan 3, and we're ready for you here in the Geekdom 101 store. Brand new piece of merchandise, the Vegeta, finally, the Prince has achieved the maximum power from Dragon Ball Z, and that is Super Saiyan 3, as he did in episode 12 of Daima. You can pick up this shirt, you can pick it up as a hoodie, as a graphic tee, even as a clock, all kinds of different things and various colors and sizes right now for a limited time. Everything is 25% off, so take advantage. The new Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta merch line, exclusive to the Geekdom 101 merch store. The link is down below. We thought at the end of the previous episode that Vegeta was eaten by the Kraken, but no, he's alive, he's fine. I mean, we all kind of knew he'd be alive, and he even tells Goku that he's still not 100% accustomed to having this body, but interesting considering what happens later in this episode. Tamagami 2 lunges at Vegeta, and it seems like he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because he's got the Kraken to deal with and Tamagami 2. Vegeta gets knocked back again by Tamagami 2, but this time he goes Super Saiyan to get out of it. Vegeta as a Super Saiyan is much faster besides just being more powerful and is able to evade the attacks from the Kraken. Tamagami 2, seeing that Vegeta is getting away from the Kraken, tries to fire projectile energy at him. Vegeta's over here trying to avoid the Kraken while being blasted by Tamagami 2. Unlike the fight with Goku, this is far from a one-on-one fight because the Kraken's involved. At this point, the Kraken's about to eat Vegeta. Now notice this shot right here with the teeth, how Vegeta's sort of in his mouth as it closes. This is borrowed directly from The Empire Strikes Back when the Millennium Falcon is trying to escape the space monster. This is a very similar, if not identical, reference to that film. More Star Wars in Dragon Ball Daima. While inside of the mouth of the Kraken, we see lightning. Lots and lots of blue lightning. You know what that means, right? Yes, indeed. Vegeta upgrades his Super Saiyan forms and goes into Super Saiyan 2. And man, it looks beautiful in this episode. Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is able to blast out of the Kraken's mouth. This scene was awesome, man. Like every shot in Dragon Ball Daima, because the art is so precise and the staff is so on point, is a beautiful looking shot. Tremendous animation from all of the top dogs over there at Toei. Then the Kraken just gets bored and leaves. And we don't even see it again, so I guess it was nice knowing you. Tamagami 2 continues to blast Vegeta with a bunch of energy, which is ironic because this is what Vegeta oftentimes does and did in the previous episode. He is very adept at firing lots and lots of projectiles during his fights. This scene right here of Vegeta just flying and dodging the ki blast, again, what a treat visually to watch this episode. Tamagami 2 goes in once again to lunge at Vegeta with the trident, but this time Vegeta sees him coming and fires a ki blast, forcing Tamagami 2 to move out of the way. The idea here is to distract Tamagami 2 to get an opening, and Vegeta goes for a headbutt, and he connects with it, but it's not enough to defeat Tamagami 2. This entire sequence is absolutely bonkers. Good lord, this was a good episode. Look at just the detail and everything they do. Vegeta connects right in the middle of the forehead and he's able to dent it. Even after connecting with that punch to the forehead, the fight continues. This entire sequence of Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta against Tamagami is absolutely excellent. I mean, this is probably the best fight in Daima so far. Tons of fun to watch. It feels very epic. It feels like something from the previous era. Now, speaking of a pretty cool sequence, Majin Buu's fight with Tamagami 1 was fun. And here we see that Majin Buu's body is a lot like Majin Buu to where it can stretch and move in various different ways. So he's going to be a tough one to kill, and these abilities are very useful against Tamagami 1. Then Majin Buu literally, he sits on him. He sits on his face. This is something we would see from like Fat Gotenks or Fat Gogeta. It's that kind of humor. Of course, Majin Buu's kind of chubby himself. This is likely a reference to this scene in Dragon Ball Z where Fat Majin Buu literally sits on Supreme Kai and you can see the pain on his face. I think it's pretty damn funny. Tamagami 1 just kicks him away, but Majin Buu comes back to pose. Majin Buu comes in once again using his body as a defensive mechanism and actually manages to come close to hitting Tamagami 1 but bounces away. So Majin Buu is goofing off a lot and then reveals that he wants chocolate. Now Majin Buu was obviously big on eating candy and turning people into different foods and eating them. Majin Buu just seems to like chocolate. Chocolate is his thing, but with Majin Buu, it seems like chocolate is, in many ways, his power source. Majin Buu starts acting like a spoiled child, crying for some chocolate. But I mean, technically, he's only been alive for a few minutes, so it does kind of make sense in a weird way. Majin Buu goes to get Majin Buu some chocolate. In the meantime, Tamagami's like, let me get some hits on this guy. He doesn't understand, nor does he care. He's been challenged, and he has a job to do. This transitions over to the Tamagami 2 fight with Vegeta. This battle right here is a battle of wills. Speed, power, Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, Tamagami 2. But surprise, Neba's got some tricks up his sleeve as the Elder Namekian, the magician, the master of magic, unlocks a new ability. So Neba uses his magic to unlock the power of the Dragon Ball, which enhances Tamagami 2's power. Now he's glowing blue and has this purple aura, and he looks downright terrifying in a cool way. I love this look. I believe this is referencing, I think it's referencing Ultraman, which is a very famous Japanese toku series featuring Ultraman, the Japanese toku hero. And there's many different Ultraman shows that have been around for ages, and Toriyama has talked in the past about how much of a fan he was of Ultraman and has referenced Ultraman not just in Dragon Ball but also in Dr. Slump. Tamagami 2, powered up now, takes the fight underwater. Look at this frame right here of Tamagami 2. This dude means business. I love it. So he fires a ki blast while simultaneously creating an underwater whirlwind to attack Vegeta with. And Vegeta does get caught up in it. Meanwhile, Majin Buu seems to have figured out how to dodge all of Tamagami 1's attacks with his blade. At this point, Goma's military police appear and are in awe at the battle with the Tamagami. Up until this point, Goma had no idea what Dr. Arinsu was up to, but that was about to change. King Goma discovers that not only is Tamagami 1 fighting, but Dr. Arinsu is plotting to take the one-star Dragon Ball. Majin Buu's strategy here appears to be to allow Tamagami 1 to continue to try to attack him while dodging all his moves. Maybe to tire him out. This sequence right here is excellently animated. Majin Buu is not getting hit once by the Tamagami. And here comes the John Stockton of Dragon Ball Daima, Majin Buu, with the assist. Some chocolate for Majin Buu. Like I said before, chocolate appears to be Majin Buu's power source in a weird way. Once he has a taste of that chocolate, Majin Buu starts to steam, just like how Majin Buu used to do, and this would lead to him firing a massive ki blast at Tamagami 1. Tamagami 1 is legitimately in trouble here with the power of this energy. Now Majin Buu is spitting out ki blasts like it's nobody's business, with ease. This is enough to put Tamagami 1 down. Tamagami 1 is still not done though, so Majin Buu once again does the volleyball technique, the same one he did last week that was inspired by Super Buu. Tamagami 1 was about to slice Majin Buu, but right before he does, he went back into his, I guess you can say, normal form, like not being a ball, to dodge the move, and then did something I've never seen before. He took his neck and wrapped it around Tamagami 1's saw blade. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. He then delivered a headbutt, once again dodged Tamagami 1's attack. This time Tamagami 1 submits and proclaims Majin Buu the winner. One of the interesting discoveries from episode 12 is that this is the first time that we actually have confirmation that Degasu was not in on Dr. Arinsu's plan. So even though they are siblings, even though they're both Glins, he had no idea what she was plotting behind his back and behind Goma's back. The final challenge, just like how Tamagami 3 had the cup and balls trick, Tamagami 1 wants Majin Buu to figure out this complicated math problem where basically he has to use all of his brain power to add up all the numbers that appear in the globe. I compared this to the film Matilda, where she's able to do large math problems in her head, and Majin Buu is actually the one that saved the day here. Majin Buu is awarded the 1-star Dragon Ball, but Dr. Arinsu won't give Majin Buu the credit he deserves for being the one to get the chocolate to power up Majin Buu. Goma has a meltdown that Dr. Arinsu is getting Dragon Balls without telling him, and he doesn't think she's being generous, so they flip back to see Vegeta and Tamagami 2 and freak out because Vegeta's doing pretty well. He hasn't been beaten yet. At one point, the battle goes underwater, and Tamagami 2 tries to impale Vegeta with his spear, his trident, and Vegeta tries different ki blasts and blocks, and he's just trying to survive at this point. Once Tamagami 2 gets his hands on Vegeta, though, he starts to really put pressure on him. This powered up Tamagami sends Vegeta to the depths of the ocean of Demon World 2. Once Vegeta awakens, it's time to take the fight seriously as he begins to transform. And it's not just to Super Saiyan 2. No, sir. Vegeta goes further beyond as he rises out of the water and demonstrates that, like Goku, he has also figured out the secret that is Super Saiyan 3. This is one of my favorite all-time Vegeta moments. The way it was done, the performances, it was just great. But we've got to talk about it because it's brought up some questions from people. This is the first time that Toriyama has officially revealed Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. If you go back to the original run of Dragon Ball, Vegeta was never able to do Super Saiyan 3 in the original manga, and when Dragon Ball GT came around, Vegeta was able to skip from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 4 thanks to Bulma's technological genius, as she was able to make a machine that could amplify his power using the Blutz waves for him to tap into Super Saiyan 4. Now, I never liked this, and I'm not a GT hater, but this was one of the things about GT that I was not a fan of. I don't like the idea of Vegeta getting Super Saiyan 4 from some machine. It just never really felt good, never felt right. Now, in the past, Vegeta has never been able to show he could do Super Saiyan 3 until now. Clearly, the situation here from a meta perspective is that Toriyama probably figured he was going to do some fan service in Daima and give Vegeta access to Super Saiyan 3, something he never had access to before. During the run of Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta was able to tap into the God forms, but we never saw him use Super Saiyan 3. So this has brought up a lot of questions, and I'm going to try and answer them as best I can here. Many seem to feel that Vegeta getting Super Saiyan 3 is a contradiction because we never see him do it in Super, and what they point to is the moment where Beerus slaps Bulma and Vegeta snaps. Now, you have to understand something about Super Saiyan 3. First of all, We know based on the original manga and the original Dragon Ball Z anime that Super Saiyan 3 is a very powerful form, but it has one big flaw. It drains energy very, very fast. Therefore, this transformation is not really ideal for the way that Vegeta fights. Vegeta's combat strategy is a lot of energy, lots of energy projection, lots of ki blasts. Using Super Saiyan 3 would drain him very, very fast. By the time we get to Dragon Ball Super, which was 3 years or so, give or take, after Dragon Ball Daima, Vegeta probably figured that Super Saiyan 3, although it has its uses, isn't really an ideal transformation. Now, unlike Super Saiyan 1 and even 2, Super Saiyan 3 is not a transformation triggered by rage. This is a form that requires concentration and lots of training to achieve. Hell, Goku figured it out in the afterlife. He wasn't even alive when he first got Super Saiyan 3. Now, if you're wondering when Vegeta learned Super Saiyan 3, remember, Daima takes place a year or so, give or take, after Dragon Ball Z's Majin Buu saga. And because of that, it's given Vegeta plenty of time to train and train hard. And now we have an example of the result of Vegeta's training. He's able to now finally match up to Goku, at least with the original Super Saiyan forms. Obviously, we know that in Dragon Ball Super, both Goku and Vegeta would get way more advanced forms once they discovered God Ki. But for the traditional Saiyan forms, this is about as good as it gets, at least based on the original manga. Now, notice that Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 is different than Goku's because his hair sticks back a lot, sort of like Gohan Beast does, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Supersonic. Now, I discussed this in a video that I released on September 11th, 2024, the first time that I officially stated that Vegeta would be using Super Saiyan 3 in Daima months before it happened. Here's a clip. Yes, Vegeta is going to get Super Saiyan 3 in Dragon Ball Daima, but it's not going to look the same way as it did before, and I'll explain what I mean. The features of Super Saiyan 3 is the long hair and the lack of eyebrows. That is still there, but for some reason, when Vegeta gets Super Saiyan 3 in Daima, it's not going to have the hair flowing behind his back in the same way that it did for Goku and Gotenks in the Buu arc. Rather, it's going to actually stick back almost like Beast Gohan. Remember how Gohan Beast's hair just stuck back all wildly? It's not going to be quite like that. It's a bit lower, but it's not going to be as low towards the back like Goku and Gotenks were. However, it is still Super Saiyan 3. Now, let me cut in real quick, guys. As I was editing this video, it hit me. I know exactly where they got this idea from. If you look into the guidebooks and look at Toriyama's original sketches for what he planned Super Saiyan 3 to possibly be like in the early days of the Buu saga, there's one where it's Goku with his hair spiked up but more so back. This was a rejected Super Saiyan 3 design. And from what I've seen of Vegeta Super Saiyan 3 and Daima, this is going to most resemble that. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I want to give you another example because I see some people saying that, well, Vegeta, when he raged out against Beerus, should have just gone into Super Saiyan 3. But here's the thing, like we already discussed, when it comes to Super Saiyan 3, it's got that drawback. So obviously Vegeta realized that for his fighting style and the fact that Super Saiyan 3 has that stamina drain, that energy consumption, it wasn't really a form that he should use. However, there are other examples of Vegeta raging out without necessarily transforming into his strongest form. For example, remember when Cell killed Trunks in Dragon Ball Z and Vegeta snapped and fired a bunch of ki blasts at him? Why was it that Vegeta was using Super Saiyan in this mode? He was angry, he was raging out, but he didn't go to anything higher than Super Saiyan. You could make the argument it was Super Saiyan full power, and there's a debate amongst fans about that. But nevertheless, just because you're raging out does not mean you're going to transform into your strongest form, especially one that takes up as much stamina as Super Saiyan 3. Now, obviously, the meta reason behind all of this is that Toriyama didn't decide on giving Vegeta Super Saiyan 3 until Daima was in production. That's the obvious truth. It's a little bit of a retcon, but I don't think it necessarily contradicts Super, especially since in Super, once Vegeta learns God Ki, he doesn't really go back to using the old forms. I mean, he sticks with the God forms, whereas we do see Goku using Super Saiyan 3 a couple times in Super, sometimes and usually more for demonstration purposes, but once they get those God forms, they kind of stick with those. Either way, though, fans have wanted to see Vegeta get Super Saiyan 3 for ages, and Dragon Ball Daima has now given that to them. Now, whether or not that really matters, that's entirely up to you, but it really makes me somewhat certain that at some point they're going to explain. Like, I think Vegeta himself will explain why he prefers Super Saiyan 2 over Super Saiyan 3. The drawback is what I think is the clear answer. It's in the original manga, in the old anime. It's not anything that's ever been changed that we know of. So let's see, because we still have 8 more episodes of Daima left. Maybe we'll get more information on this whole thing. But regardless, this scene was incredible to watch. Tamagami 2, though, is still in the fight. He wants to end this now. He tries to attack Vegeta, but he misses. And Vegeta gives him that stare. That I'm about to break you stare. Vegeta then knocks him away into the water. When they're underwater, Tamagami 2 tries to use the trident to stab Vegeta in the face, but Vegeta blocks it with his finger. This right here is an homage to the infamous scene in Dragon Ball Z when Goku blocked Trunks' sword with one finger when Trunks and Goku met for the first time. This is an homage to that, and hell, that was one of my favorite scenes in the old show. I'm happy to see them do a tribute to it here. But we're not done. Vegeta has become so powerful that he broke the trident. He broke Tamagami 2's weapon, yo. Just to show off more of his power, Vegeta does like a giant karate chop and literally splits the ocean in two. This scene was incredible, just incredible to watch. Then Vegeta began an all-out offensive on Tamagami 3 with physical attacks. I mean, he went in on him as Vegeta does, man. Aggression, anger, he is like the Cobra Kai style. Offense. Goku might be a bit more of a defensive fighter, but Vegeta's king of the offense. Vegeta, with his arms crossed, starts to knock Tamagami 2 around like he's a jobber, and he's not. Then Vegeta goes for the coup de grace as he powers up his signature maneuver, the Gallic Gun. Now, just like Tamagami 3 did in episode 8, Tamagami 2 manages to actually deflect the blast. So the Super Saiyan 3 Gallic Gun was not the finishing blow, as he was able to muster up enough strength to deflect it. However, this left him open for a devastating left hook to the jaw. I mean, that is a knockout punch if there ever was one. Vegeta put everything he had into that punch. This fight mirrored the episode 8 ending with Tamagami 3, but it was Vegeta's version of it. So as Tamagami 2 is getting knocked back, Vegeta catches him, basically signifying to him that, listen, the fight's over. And Tamagami 2 obliges. Vegeta knows it's over. Tamagami 2 knows it's over. It's done. Big, huge victory for the Prince Vegeta himself. Tamagami 2 is able to use his magic to put together the trident again. So he, has his weapon back. However, there is one more challenge remaining before Vegeta gets the Dragon Ball. And you know how it goes. Vegeta has to solve a riddle and only has 10 seconds to do it. This is typical Toriyama humor where you'll have a serious fight, a really tough, badass guy like Tamagami 2, but on the inside, he's more of a goof, he's more of a clown. People who have only seen Dragon Ball Z and haven't read Toriyama's other works or looked into the other stuff he's done don't understand that the dude was primarily a gag manga writer, mostly a comedian. He actually wasn't even a martial arts, fight manga writer until his editor Torishima told him it would be a good idea to do more martial arts. And it turns out Toriyama was very good at it. But at heart, Toriyama likes to be goofy. And, it's not to say Dragon Ball can't be dark, but most of the time it really isn't as dark as people think it is. But there are other times when it is. This riddle, much like Tamagami 1's, was this complicated math problem that left Goku completely confused. Vegeta, who's not good at these kinds of problems, as Bulma says, answers with the number 0. Vegeta realized, because he's not an idiot, that it was a trick question, a riddle that was meant to fool you. With answering the question right, Vegeta is awarded the 2-star ball. So now Vegeta and Goku have 2 of the Dragon Balls, the 3-star and the 2-star ball. Meanwhile, Dr. Arinsu has 1. So now we begin what's sure to be a collision course going into the final 8 episodes of Daima. There's still a lot of story left to be told. Tamagami 2 shamefully goes to Neba, his creator, and apologizes for failing, but Neba says that this is the way things should be. The Tamagami lost in a fair fight and thus has to give up the Dragon Ball, and he thanks him for the fight. This was a great moment because it really brought forth the spirit of the martial arts, the spirit of combat. It doesn't always have to be about killing or about murder. It's about just who's the best. And that's what Goku and Vegeta are striving to prove to everyone. The problem is you've got these villains that just, well, you know how they are. They take things to the extreme. But Tamagami 2 and Neba both seem like pretty benevolent, pretty noble people in this show. Vegeta reveals that the reason he was able to solve the problem is because they had snakes on planet Vegeta too. So I guess they're just like the ones from Earth. Either way, this is like surprisingly one of the only bits of lore that we got in this episode. Most of it was based on the combat. And Hybius reiterates that Vegeta is a very strong fighter, but he's also a smart fighter, which is probably why he figured out that Super Saiyan 3's drawback doesn't work. This is actually very similar to what happened back in Dragon Ball Z. Remember how when Trunks fought Cell, he was using what's called Grade 3 Super Saiyan. That's what it's called in the Japanese guidebooks and in the pamphlet. And that form was very bulky and powerful, but very slow. And Trunks actually comments that Vegeta, while in the Room of Spirit and Time, while in the time chamber with Trunks, became aware of that power and chose not to use it. That's the thing with Vegeta. Super Saiyan 3 and, Super Saiyan Grade 3, which is the Trunks form, they have their pros and cons, but the cons seem to outweigh the pros. I'm sure we'll find out more as Daima progresses, or at least I hope that we do. Goku tries to give Vegeta one of the revived bugs that work like the Senzus, but Vegeta does not eat bugs. Is that foreshadowing for a potential fusion later or something like that? I guess we'll all find out soon. Goku points out that he used to be okay with eating critters, which is a reference to Vegeta's first appearance ever in the manga, where you see him literally eating the remains of a bug creature. How Goku knew about that, I don't know. Maybe they hung out together one time and Goku saw it on Earth. I couldn't even tell you, but I do love that somewhat of a deep cut. But alas, our time in the second demon realm is coming to an end as the crew has to head over to the first demon world, which is where Goma is, where Arinsu is, where everyone's going to come together for that final Dragon Ball, which is currently not being held by a Tamagami, so things will take an interesting twist. There's a little scene where Glorio is having trouble with the engine of the ship, and Pansy quickly fixes it. Now, I'm not sure if this scene is supposed to be a teaser that Glorio is purposely trying to stall for time because he wants to give Arinsu enough time to do her part of the job, or what. But it certainly was suspicious that they tacked this on near the end of the episode, seemingly for no reason. I want to think there's more to it than that. Meanwhile, Goma is irritated, but apparently has a plan, and that's our cliffhanger. There will not be a Dragon Ball Daima episode next Friday, which is going to be July 3rd. It's preempted because a lot of people are off on that day in Japan. Japan tends to kind of relax at the beginning of the year. Daima will resume on January 10th with episode 13, and the English dub of Daima should start dropping new episodes on Crunchyroll. So I'm not sure if they're putting all the episodes in there at once they've already dubbed, or if they're going week to week. I have no idea, but I am going to speak to more of the dub cast on the Super Magic Show, which is every Sunday. And this Sunday, Mr. Senpai will be joining us for the 2025 prediction show. I hope to see you there. Right now on your screen are more videos to check out. Check out the one I did about the Elder Gods. Check out the one I did explaining Super Saiyan 3. So much fun, such a good time watching Dragon Ball with all of you. See you soon.